In this episode of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, I'm going to walk you through an 800-year-old Japanese concept that really honestly helped me find my purpose, help me step into recognizing, oh my gosh, this is what I'm meant to do. Hey guys and gals, I'm Trevor Mock, the CEO of Carrot.com, investor in other companies as well. And over the years, my companies have brought in well over $50 million in revenue. And one of the challenging things as we're building companies is we might ask the question, like, what's our purpose, right? Why are we doing this thing? And the initial purpose that we usually have in business, and I'll share this in my business growth levels. If you check out my models, go to trevormach.com/freedom. That's trevormauch.com/freedom. That's where you can get my entrepreneur freedom formula framework and my business growth levels that take you from $0 to $10 million plus every step along the way, and what you need to do, what you need to adjust. Well, one of the sections in the business growth levels is purpose. And I really thought a number of years ago about, well, how does purpose change? How did my purpose change, or how does purpose change for entrepreneurs from the second that you discover that you want to do something new, you want to leave the job, you want to sell your company or whatever it is, to then as you grow into a bigger entrepreneur? For me, the purpose question really started to come up around the time when I was making some. In the early days, your purpose is to get away from that job. It's to get away from the thing that you don't want. It's to get away from the thing that is causing you pain. For me, it was I did not want to go get a job after college, and that was my pain. It was like the purpose was stay away from that. I don't want to go do that, and I'm going to give myself this year to figure this thing out. Okay, but many of you might be different. It might be getting away from the job that you don't like, getting away from the income ceiling that's holding you down, proving other people wrong, getting away from a business that you built that's now trapping you. That was something that happened to me in 2011, 2012. I'd built a business that made several $100,000 a year. I didn't feel like I had purpose, and it trapped me. So then I discovered I needed to go do something new. But around that time period, once I had built some revenue and I got up over that first and second pain line, and I was making a few $100,000 a year, I remember laying there in bed after we had my first daughter, McKinley. And my wife was working. She took my daughter to daycare, and I was laying in bed, and I was going, man, I'm just a deadbeat because my wife is working her butt off. My daughter is at the nanny's house, and I'm not working. I'm laying here feeling sorry for myself, staring at the ceiling, going, I don't want to do the work that I'm about to do today. And I should have honestly just canceled the days and just hung out with my daughter or went and had lunch with my wife. But instead, I was just laying there going, man, is everybody feeling this? Does everybody feel empty? Does everybody feel a lack of purpose? That was before I really stepped into my faith as well. So that might be a whole nother video on how faith has completely shifted and completely shaped who I am today, and my purpose, and how I bake my purpose and my faith into my business. That's a different video. But around that time, I had come across this concept. I can't even remember how I came across this concept of Ikigai. Okay, Ikigai, Ikigai. I'm going to bring up the graphic of Ikigai. And there is a book that you can grab. Thank you, Jeremy, who's in our Epic program, my Epic coaching program, who sent me this book after our last Epic Intensive, Ikigai, The Japanese Secret for a Long and Happy Life. I saw this graphic, and it completely changed the way I thought about work. It completely changed the way I thought about my purpose at that phase and that period of my time in my life. At the center of Ikigai is basically like it's a reason for being. You're in the flow. You feel like you're purposeful. You feel like your work matters. Your life matters. You feel like you're being useful. You feel like you're driving towards something that can be fruitful and help you reach your goals. Okay, the aim for us is to stay in the middle of Ikigai as much as possible, but oftentimes we're going to kind of weave in and weave out. Now, the concept that really hit me was with Ikigai, there's 4 different circles. Okay, there's 4 different things that help you step into Ikigai. If you're missing any one of these, you're going to have some symptoms. So the 4 things, I'm going to walk through the 4 things and then the symptoms that you're going to experience if you're missing any of them. Okay, the 4 things, 4 parts of Ikigai are what you love. You're doing things that you love. Okay, now here in my world, I might talk about it from the energy perspective. Man, you're doing things that give you energy. You're doing things that you absolutely love to do that you would probably even do for free. Like this podcast here, I don't make any money from this podcast. I do it because I would do it for free, and I am doing it for free. I love doing this. It gives me energy. I feel like I'm giving to people. It feels like I'm really paying it forward for those who paid it forward for me when I was getting going. Okay, so that's the first one, is doing what you love. The next thing is you're doing something that the world actually needs. So you could be doing something that you love, but if the world doesn't need it, you kind of start to feel a little bit useless, right? So we need to be doing stuff that we love, and then ideally, it's something that the world actually needs. It's not just a worthless thing. Okay, that we're doing. If you absolutely love jumping on pogo sticks and you're just doing it over here, in your backyard, no one gets to see you do it, so they don't get to be entertained by it, then awesome. But are you truly an Ikigai? Well, probably not. But instead, if you're an amazing pogo stick jumper and you're entertaining people and you're out there like really making it work, amazing. You found a need that the world has for that. The third thing is what you can be paid for. So you're doing what you love. The world needs the thing that you have, and you're able to be paid for it. Because if you're not able to be compensated for it in some way, shape, or form, it's hard to keep doing that over the long term, because you need to put food on the table. You need to put shelter over your heads. You need to support your family, and you want to make a greater impact. So we need to be able to exchange it for value and be able to charge for it at a fair value. Okay. The fourth part is you got to be good at it. It's something that you got to be good at. Okay. You can't just love it. The world needs it. Man, I can be paid for it. But if I'm not very good at this thing, man, that doesn't work. Okay. So here's the symptoms. So one of the symptoms that's pretty common is you have delight and fullness. Okay. You're like, man, this is good. I'm loving life, but no wealth. Okay. Delight and fullness, but no wealth. That means that you are doing things that you love. Okay. It means the world needs what you have. All right. And you're pretty good at the thing. Like you're good at it. You love it. The world needs it. You're full, but you're missing the part of what you can be paid for. You haven't figured out a way to get paid to do that. So that's that next part, is asking the question, how can I make this thing something I can actually make money from? That's where mentors comes in. That's where working, being a part of a community comes in. A coach comes in, is asking, has anyone done something like this before? Or if it's new, who can I tap into that can help me find a business model around this? Because if you can find the business model around that, that's where it's going to be magic, y'all. Like there's a gal, Lindsay Sterling. I remember when she was on, I think it was America's Got Talent. She showed up there, and she's a violinist who also likes to dance. And so you look at that, and like no one had ever been a violinist who had also been a dancer and made it work commercially so people would show up. She loved violin. She loved dance. She felt that the world needed entertainment. People like violin, people like dance. So what if I could jam the two together? She felt that the world needed it. Okay. And then she was pretty good at it. She wasn't an amazing dancer slash violinist. She got better at that. Simon Cowell called her out on it and said, "You're not great at both." Right. But what had happened is she had no clue how to get paid well for it. So she went back to the drawing board. She didn't win the competition, and she became amazing at violin. She became amazing at dance. And she started to invent things that and no one had ever done. All of a sudden, the world needed it. Okay, the world needed her entertainment because it was something that just jumped out at her, at people. The world all of a sudden needed it. It was something new. It was fresh. It was filling a void of entertainment and helping make people happy. All of a sudden, she was now able to be paid well for it. Okay, so you look at those things, and they are interconnected. The next symptom that you want to look at is excitement and complacency. Okay. But sense of uncertainty. What does that mean? That means we love what we're doing. The world needs it, right? We can be paid for it, but man, we're not all that good at it. Okay, we're not all that good at it. And so we're not really an ikigai, because what happens, we're uncertain because we're not great at it. We're not really consistently bringing in the money. We're not consistently helping the world, and we're not consistently able to get the joy from doing things that we love. I like doing it. The world needs it. I can be paid for it, but I'm not that good at it. So what we need to do is we need to get out of that complacency, just like Lindsay Sterling did. And she said, I need to get great at this thing. Get out of complacency, step into being great at it so you can be paid for it and you can love it. Okay, so focus on being great at it. That's the one that I probably resonate with the least. I don't know how many of y'all are experiencing that. Pop in the comments box here in the YouTube video if you're experiencing any one of these symptoms. Okay, the third symptom is comfortable, but a feeling of emptiness. Now, this is where I was at that time when I needed this. I was making good money. I didn't need to make a bunch of extra money to put food on the table. We had a home, we had the cars, we could go on some vacations. We had our beautiful first daughter. I was comfortable, but I felt empty. I was asking the question, maybe I should go get a job because I'm not loving this. There's got to be something more to life and entrepreneurship than this. If this is all that it is, I don't know that I want it. So what was I feeling and why was I there? I was good at the work. Okay. So I was doing work that I was good at. Okay. The next thing was I had figured out a way to get paid for it. People were paying me for it and the world did need it. There's a real need in the world for the work that I was doing. The challenge was I didn't love it. I didn't love what I was doing. The work that I was doing most of the days was draining my energy. I didn't feel like I was truly tapping into what I was best at, what I was just made to do, but I didn't know what I was made to do. I was stuck. So I just kept doing the things that drained my energy that I was good at, that people paid me well for, and that people were saying I need that they need. And that's a trap. That's a drug that so many entrepreneurs are stuck in. Okay, because they get in the hustle and grind mode to make some money and to get things cranking. But what happens when you're in the hustle and grind mode and you stop getting the juice from it because now you've got your bills paid for? Now you're not being pushed by that thing, that pain that you were trying to run away from, because now you're away from the initial pain. You're making enough money, and now you haven't ran towards a new vision, ran towards a new future. We're stuck. And in that moment, that next 1.5 to 2 years, I recently recorded another episode of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula that walks through the 17 mindset shifts. I went from negative $16,000 in debt to over $40 million in net worth. I went through my video there. And a couple of mindset shifts were finding my energy, what gives me energy, focusing on my unique abilities, the things that I love doing that I'm really, really good at. And it took me probably the better part of a year to reprogram my brain into recognizing that I shouldn't be optimizing for money. I should be optimizing for energy. Okay. Once I nail the energy, the things I'm great at, and then I recognize what the world needs and I figure out a way to get paid for those things I'm great at, and then get really, really good at those things, or get paid for the things I love to do, and then get really good at those, man, that's where things flow. Because that's where I was. So the fourth symptom now is satisfaction, but a feeling of uselessness. Man, I'm satisfied, but man, I just feel like I feel like I'm just doing work that doesn't really matter. I feel like I'm doing work that just it doesn't matter that I'm doing this in the world. That's a symptom of satisfaction. I'm doing things I enjoy. I love it. Right. I'm pretty good at this thing too. And I found out a way to get paid for it. But you know what? The world doesn't really need what I've got. It doesn't really need another XYZ. And I was almost bordering on that sometimes in the year or two prior to that, because um, even though in the early stage I did love it, I did enjoy it because it was a new game, because I was learning, I was getting away from that pain. Honestly, in my heart of hearts, if I were to look back, I felt a little bit of that satisfaction, but feeling of uselessness, because I'm like, man, this product, it was a good product. People paid for it. The world did need it, but I'm like, man, does the world really need another training course on this thing? Not really. There's other people doing it. I think ours is better, but does the world really need it? And that's where I was just going, man, we've got to bake more mission, bake more vision in this. Here's where I'll wrap this up and bring it home. That there's a few things on here. So if you're focusing on what you love, and the world needs it, but none of the other things exist, then that's your mission. That's your mission. You love it. The world needs it. That's your mission. That's your Mother Teresa moment. Oh my gosh, I love giving to this group of people. I'm just going to dedicate my life to it, man. And the world needs this, but I have not really figured out a way to make money from it. I might be pretty good at it, might not be, but man, this is my mission. Okay. The next one up here is I love it, and I'm really good at it, but maybe the world doesn't really need it, and I really haven't figured out a way to be paid for it yet. I love it. I'm good at it. That's a passion. I love mountain bike riding. I love fly fishing. The world doesn't need me to be a good fly fisher. I haven't figured out a way to be paid for it, and I'm okay with that. Those are passions, and these are good. It doesn't mean that these are bad. Okay, it just means recognize what they are. And I have passions in my life, and I put them in the passion bucket, and I recognize that's a passion. The world doesn't need it, but I love it. It gives me energy. I'm good at. I don't care that I don't get paid well for it. It's a passion of mine. Okay. Another thing down here, you're good at it and you can be paid well for it. That's a profession. In order to have a good profession, you need to be good at the thing and you need to figure out a way to get paid for it. Okay. That's a profession. That's good. We should all have a profession that we're good at the thing and we get paid well for it. Now we go over here to what the world needs and what you can get paid well for. If you have some things that the world needs and you get paid well for it, that's a vocation. Okay, a vocation means, okay, I'm doing this thing. I might not be amazing at it, might not love it. It's just something I'm doing. The world needs it. I can get paid for it. It's something I'm doing right now. My aim is to have you move out of vocation into profession and then eventually into Ikigai. Right, move from vocation to profession, eventually into Ikigai, and I suggest people don't stay in vocation for too long. Find something you love and find something you can be truly good at. Okay, and that wraps us up with that model. And I'll kind of bring it home right here. Is back in 2010, 11, when I was going through this challenge of I had some money in the bank, but no energy in the tank. I didn't want to wake up and do the work that I'd created for my business. I was feeling sorry for myself, honestly. I had lost my vision. I had lost my way. I was asking, why am I here? Like, what's my purpose? Once I saw this model, it started to give me permission, number one, to have passions that I didn't get paid for. It gave me permission to go out and do things I loved again. Okay. It gave me permission to say, let me find what I love and what the world needs. And it's okay if I don't get paid for this thing because part of this is my mission. This right here, this is part of my mission. I don't get paid for this, but I love it. I think the world needs people speaking into them to help build businesses of freedom and impact. There's far too many people trapped in their businesses. I feel that that's my mission. That's okay. I don't need to get paid for it. Okay. It gave me permission to say, I need to nail some things right now while I'm figuring out my Ikigai. I need to nail that profession, the things I'm good at, I'm getting paid well for. I've got locked it in. I already got that nailed at that time, but I'm like, I need to transition out of this and add to the mix something that I love so I can be an Ikigai more often. So I have a question for you. What one of these are you sitting in right now? Leave a comment on this YouTube video or hit me with an IG DM, y'all. If you're listening to this on the podcast version, come out of podcast land and join me on the video on the YouTube side of it. You'll see the Ikigai graphic and it can completely you just give you juice to what this model does for you. And let me know in the comments box over on YouTube and IGDM. Follow me on Instagram, trevor.mauch. That's Mauch. And let me know, where are you right now? Which one of those four symptoms might you be stuck in? And what do you need to add to your life to get into Ikigai more often? Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode and this life-changing concept that changed my life almost a decade ago. Hit me with a comment in this episode if you've enjoyed this. Hit subscribe so you can get other episodes like this. And if you're listening to the podcast, I'd encourage you to leave a review and rating wherever you're listening to this. I read every single one. It fires me up. And it also helps us get this message in front of more people. The more people that download this, the more people you share this with, the more people that leave a rating and review, the more the algorithms pop it up, the more that we can start to change more lives, y'all. All right. I love you to death. Have an amazing, amazing rest of the week. And let's step into Ikigai more together this next year.